What's up everyone, it's Bones here. In today's video, I'll be showing a full match against Libromancers, but the point of the video isn't the match itself, it's that we have a slow but uprising bigger problem with Mystic Mine, which may create more havoc in the TCG. In the TCG, Mystic Mine is best known for being abused in strikers. Flu also makes a big use of it, and it's partially another reason why the disdain towards the deck that has been coming up more and more recently is only beginning to increase. In YCS Hartford, we saw a Sky Striker deck that played triple Trap Trick and 3 Demise of the Land in order to turbo out D-Barrier and Mystic Mine. As long as your deck has a capable engine that doesn't take too much space and can play on its own, the engine has proven it can see results, not just with the YCS Hartford win, but in Germany, the Altergeist deck that I showed previously happened to also make a top 32 in their nationals. And over the week, I've started to also see the engine going into other decks, and now as you see, as what I'm showing, Despia is very well capable of running it. And I think what makes this even more problematic is that not only can you side the Sanctums with the trap tricks and stuff, but each deck has their own good respective side cards that makes this tougher to prepare for. So I've probably spoken enough, and I'll get to the replays until the deck profile comes, and I'll touch it up on some more. So as you'll see, I believe I'm going to go first, I'm going to normal summon the Aluber, then use the Branded Fusion, special summon Lubellion, get the Tragedy Search and the Lubellion summon to Mirror Jade, and then I'm going to make Stepelia and get back the Mirror Jade off Adlib, and then the Albion will get me Branded Fusion. You'll see in the deck list that there's actually not much room for branded spells and traps besides the ones that you absolutely need, but you'll see how it goes. Anyways, you'll see that the Libromancer player is going to try to pop off, and I'm not going to let him get the Herald effect here, because you don't want it to be level 6, you don't want it to be more annoying than it has to be. And you'll see that my opponent makes a good play going into the Herald, but I just had too much here. And on top of that, my opponent unfortunately didn't have the best cards in hand, as you see. But we'll get on to game 2, as this was just basically a regular Despia match. So on to game 2, you see that I actually draw the trap trick here, and I'll point out that I did not side at all in this matchup. I knew I was going second, and when you see the side deck, you'll see that it's pretty trap heavy, and the fact that you're playing Mystic Mine and Despia can naturally go second, it doesn't really make it a must to side versus certain matchups, because your main deck can just already be a answer, which is kind of nuts in itself. And you'll see that I'm going to make Guardian Chimera here. He's going to Crow the Mirror Jade, which kind of sucks, whatever, but you'll see that my 2 draws are perfect, as now I can get the Adlib off the Branded in red, and on top of that, I can get back the Mirror Jade. But I also had the trap trick to call Ritual, which the deck really only does Ritual summon once, but at the same time, being able to stop that extra body from coming out, an extra effect, and just for free like that is just so strong. And you can imagine how it can do against matchups like Sword Soul or Despia. But you'll see that I'm going to get the second Chimera off here, and I'm going to Mirror Jade the Herald, because I didn't want Baron to come out. And he's going to get the Souls here, draw, go into Dark, and at this point I really don't care what happens. He could have made access code or anything he really wanted to, but what would have ended up happening was he had basically nothing in hand. I knew what he had, and I had all this follow-up here. So as for the deck list, this is it, and you'll see that it's just a very bare bones engine, that you have the 3 Imperms, the 3 D-Barriers, the 3 Trap Tricks, the 3 Demise of the Land, the 3 Mystic Mine, and you'll notice that there's no Metaverse. I wanted to keep the deck at 40. But besides that, there's nothing really too special here. This is the same Despia extra deck that I'm kind of using overall right now. I'm going to post my version tomorrow or later today, because you'll see that I've kind of gone away from the norm a little bit, but there's also a bunch of changes that I've just made overall, as you can see with what I said about the extra deck. I'd like to note that the Brigand is here because even though you don't have Mercarier in this deck, yeah, you're not playing the Lost package, there's just more than Branded Fusion with this deck to really care about that, because if you can get Trap Trick and into D-Barrier or stall your opponent into Mine, you can recoup your resources and kind of just get yourself back into the game. But what I was saying was that Brigand sometimes does need a level 8 to send, or sometimes you want to send Adlib to the graveyard because you went through your tragedy effect with opening and you happen to see comedy. So having the Brigand to give you a level 8 to send to the grave, and on top of that, having the ability to special summon Albaz at the end phase, which is still a strong part about this deck, and lets you play around cards like Nib, made it worth playing in my opinion. As for the side deck, you'll see that I wanted the most impactful cards, triple Nib, only 2 Twin Twisters, and it's because of the 3 EEV. As you can see, there was actually a hero player that I hit with the EEV here, and you're gonna see that I actually had a misclick, which had me kind of kicking myself. But at the same time, looking at his hand, it just didn't matter. But I wanted to come to this just because I thought it was hilarious that you can Trap Trick into this and just auto-winning matchups the way that it can, because as you'll see, my opponent just sets Dark Angel, I have Aluber in hand, and from there the game gets out of hand. So back here, another staple in the Trap Trick package is the Artifact Sanctum and the Scythe package, which I think that in conjunction with mine, I think it's now safe to say that Scythe itself and Mystic Mine are among 2 of the biggest problems in this format. I think another problem in this format, and Yassine brought it up, I had been thinking this for a really long time now, and the minute combo started to use anti-spell in order to shut down your opponent's ability to play spells, I think it's disgusting that we've even seen some Despia decks that are maining anti-spell when most of what you play is really spells. But I think that these 3 cards are leaving their imprint on the format in a major way, and I think that the toughest part about this is, I would be okay with this if there were better side cards suited towards attacking some of this stuff. But I think currently the only realistic way of doing that possible is to hit it on the ban list, because the truth is that you can't bring Red Reboot to 3 just for the Trap Trick engine, and then on another half try to fit more back row hate for other decks that may be more spell oriented, like Despia. And while I must admit, I think that the version I'm gonna show tomorrow is a lot better than this, but the reason why I bring this one to light is because, as you see, it's just capable of doing such interactive things that can end the game on an activation of a card. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and try to say that Trap Trick into EEV is the next broken thing, but the problem is when your opponent or you are losing to something like that, in addition to losing to Mine and D-Barrier and all this stuff, and that's without even counting Scythe. You can imagine where this kind of becomes frustrating. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed this little discussion that I wanted to bring to light in regards to this package right here, because again, I'm just not seeing it only in Sky Striker anymore. I've seen it in like 5 or 6 different decks. And with how much diversity there already is in the game, you don't kind of want to punish players even more with already not having the right amount of side deck cards, or rather, not having the right side deck cards for a format like this, because I think that diversity in general, and this is actually another thing I want to go on, I prefer diversity. I'll be a big proponent of, I think that this game is majorly boring if it doesn't have it. But the problem is that you still need to be able to create diversity while also having cards that players can put into their side deck that cover that level of diversity. I'm almost for putting Link monsters into D-Barrier as an errata, just because these Cybers decks get a big push off it. Part of the reason why these Cybers decks are much better now than in previous formats is because D-Barrier is seeing play, and it does absolutely nothing against them. But that's just my opinion out of the way. I know some people may be against making stronger side deck cards when we already have so many, but I'll leave that up to debate. I know that everyone has their own opinions on how it should go, but I just personally think that the diversity issue of feeling like you're getting sacked every game would go down if we had side deck staples that kind of were able to hit everything. But anyways, it's Bones, signing out.